Steam is having its Space Exploration Fest right now, and it will go until September 9th. Space games are usually a bit niche, but there are so many great games out there. I have 8 games that are on sale right now that I think are worth playing, and then I also have found a few upcoming that are worth keeping an eye on. So let's take a look. First up is Underspace. This is a spiritual successor to Freelancer. Freelancer is an older space trading space combat game from the early 2000s with a Lovecraftian twist to it. And all this is very true for Underspace. It is a sandbox RPG in a pretty cool world. The graphic and style is definitely a bit more old school, but the scale, the cool environments, the insane creatures you can find, it is a pretty cool experience. The combat is pretty good as well, with good controls and satisfying gameplay. And it's a pretty big game. Like, you have 16 main campaign missions, that isn't the biggest, but you have over 40 side quests, like 36 bosses, 114 star systems, and over 500 equipment pieces to customize your ship with. It is a lot in this game, but I think the coolest part is just the aesthetics and the Lovecraftian inspiration. Story and all that is okay in the game. The game is in early access. It released into early access in April and will stay there for about a year, so approximately second quarter of 2025 it will be done, hopefully. Then we have Ixion. It's a base builder in space. Humanity has left Earth and are looking for a new home on this giant space station. It's a bit like Frostpunk because you are very limited in building space production, resources and all that good stuff. And you're really gonna have to manage everything to keep population happy and have enough resources for everything. And you of course have to explore space to retrieve more resources. There are tough decisions as well to make. And then the space station is also split into sections, and these sections can be specialized in different things. They are also kind of separated as well, so there is a bit of management between them as well. And adding another sector will have a huge impact and really add another layer of complexity to the game. This is one of those games that you definitely want to replay because you have learned so much from the previous playthrough that you can improve immensely on everything. I also wanted to recommend Everspace 2. This is more popular than the other games I have in this video, but it is a really good space shooter. If you have played Everspace 2, you should check out Chorus. It's very similar but have a more focused story. That one plays amazing. Everspace 1 was really a roguelite space shooter. Everspace 2 has a more fleshed out story. The game is so much bigger and you have more freedom here on where to go and what to do. The campaign is pretty long in the second one. The controls are excellent in this game and you have a wide variety of weapons to use and choose from, and you can really find your playstyle. Then you can also boost, roll, dash and really be active in the fight. The ship can also be customized a whole lot and you'll do other things than just fight. There is mining and exploration and all that good stuff. So really cool game that I can't recommend enough. And god does it have good locations. Like, the space settings is amazing, and then you can also go down to planets. Not all of them, but a few of them. Then we have Exa 1. This is a very chill game where you're basically controlling a flying disc. That's about it. The game is beautiful, however. It's a real treat for the eyes to play, and the gameplay is more addictive than you might believe. So what you want to do is obviously get to the end of the levels, and you do this by diving into slopes and then jumping off and then gliding. And the addictive part is to get this right. Diving correctly into a slope and then releasing at the perfect time to just glide. And then you're of course doing this on beautiful planets. You have the challenge of water where you more want to skip your disc. You have cloudy planets where you just want to fly through them. You have planets with some really neat artifacts. You have weird space anomalies. You have planets with big mountains. It's a cool game, but a very simple one, but perfect to chill with and more addictive than you might think, as I said. Galactic Glitch I played recently. I'll leave the link for that video below the like button. This is a roguelite space shooter with some interesting physics in it. The game's overall structure is a very basic roguelite formula where you go through a bunch of rooms, kill enemies, get upgrades, get better gear, kill the boss, move on to the next area and repeat. But it has some fun mechanics with the physics and the arena. You're basically fighting in these bubbles, and you can pick up rocks and enemies and throw them at the enemies, and you can also bounce them on the wall of the arena. It's a very neat little feature that works really well, and in some cases you can also catch the missiles from the enemies and throw them back. And when you die you have passive upgrades for your ship. There are a bunch of different power-ups and weapons, so there are definitely some options when it comes to how you want to play the game. It is in early access. It dropped into early access in July and will stay there for about 6 months to 12 months. Then we have Survivors of the Dawn. So I might be a little addicted to the roguelite horde survival type games, because I can't stop playing these games. They all follow the same structure, and yeah, I don't play them for hundreds of hours a piece, but every new game is at least somewhat of a new experience, at least a new aesthetic. Survivors of the Dawn definitely goes hard on the enemy count. I also like that the game has an emphasis on getting you allies or small robots or drones to help you in the battle, so you can really build up a small little army that fights for you or with you. The rest of the power-ups and increases are your standard formula. You have the standard roguelite map, and you have your passive upgrades when you die. But another thing that I like about the game more than others is that you have a lot of small objectives on the maps. So salvage, spawn a boss, spawn harder enemies, small little enhancements you can get for your character. The bad thing about these side objectives is that it's just stand in a circle until the circle is full, or you have killed enough enemies in the circle, and then something happens, drops or spawns. But at least it's something more happening on the map as you're doing the main objective for that level. I haven't played the game a ton, I just bought it the other day, but if you're like me and have a bit of addiction and you haven't played this one yet, check it out, it's kinda cool. It also recently had a big update. There was a new armor system that overhauls the old one that was pretty linear apparently, with 40 weapon modifiers now. You also have a rarity system in the weapon upgrades now, and then they're working on a new game mode for the game as well. So the game is still fully alive a year after release. Then we have Fort Solace. In the game you're playing an engineer named Jack, as he's answering a call from a mining base on Mars and heads over there to investigate and search for the missing crew. This is a narrative-driven game and takes about 4 hours to complete, give or take. The whole game revolves around investigating the base and what happened to the crew at Fort Solace. As it is narrative-driven, it's a bit on rails, you have open sections and you can explore the base, but it isn't really a game where you want to come back for multiple times or anything like that. I do however think it's a well worth experience. The cast is really good, they really make the characters come alive. The game is created in Unreal 5, so everything looks really good. And what is it with abandoned space stations? They're always so haunting, especially when there's no life. I think the story is well made overall. I have a few issues with the story, but I won't spoil anything here. And then I have a few games that is worth keeping an eye on. Let's start with The Alters. If you haven't heard about this one, it's kind of a space exploration game, but with a bit of adventure, survival and base building in it. And the kind of cool twist here is that the main character you play in the game is alone, but it makes alternate versions of himself in order to survive and escape the planet he's trapped on. This one is published and developed by 11-bit Studios. I think this has become one of my favorite studios as of late. They have the Frostpunk franchise under them and Indica that released previously this year. Moonlighter and Children of Morta is also published under 11-bit Studios, not developed by them. But you have probably heard of This War of Mine, that's developed by 11-bit Studios. But yeah, this game seems to have a bit of everything when it comes to exploration, survival, base building, and with a cool twist of alternate versions of the same character. Then we have Falling Frontier. I have looked forward to this one for a while now, and it's been delayed a couple of times. This is an RTS set in space, procedurally generated star systems. Seems like you have your own colony in the game as you explore, manage, defend or attack other factions and pirates and stuff like that. You of course get to customize your ship, base and everything around it. I think this could be really cool. There's no release date for this yet, but it will probably be sometime next year. Then we have Whiskey Squadron. This is the second game from Flipfly. The first one is in early access and it's called Whiskey Squadron Survivor, and that's like a roguelite Star Fox game. While this new one, Whiskey Squadron, is also roguelite, but it's free roaming on different maps. So more like Everspace 2, where you fly around, defeating bosses, enemies, attacking stations, do a bit of questing and upgrading. There isn't too much information on this game yet, as they're finishing up their other game that is in early access, but I think it shows a lot of potential, and I am kind of a sucker for this type of graphical choice, the cel-shaded one. But yeah, still worth keeping an eye on if you like these types of games. Release will be sometime next year. Thank you so much for watching, hope you find a game or two you were interested in. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.